Now, one of the first swing states where we will get results from tonight is North Carolina. Polls close there at 7:30 local time. The state has already shattered its early voting record. That's in spite of deadly flooding and landslides that happened in September when Hurricane Helene swept through. For more on this, I'm joined by Johnny Jennings. He is the chief of police at Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department, and we've reached him in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Chief Jennings, we appreciate you taking the time. I know this is busy. How is your department planning for this year's election compared to other years?
Wow. Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all. Well, the planning is pretty much in place. It's done. We've been talking about this for over a year now, but the main thing for us is to make sure that we are able to respond to any incidents at any of the polling locations, that people have the freedom to go out and vote, and we're going to make sure that that happens. And state law in North Carolina, we can't actually have someone physically on the site, but we can certainly put zone checks on those locations and make sure, again, that we provide a safe environment for everyone that wants to execute their right to vote.
And how's it been going so far today on voting day?
Well, I'm going to knock on wood, but so far so good. We've only had a very few minor calls for service at some of the locations, and they've been pretty insignificant. But again, it looks like the majority of the people voted early, which was great. And so that we've had a few line issues of people trying to get in the vote and some and taking a little bit longer than they would like to get into the polling locations. But for the most part, we've had a pretty productive morning and afternoon.
And I understand that you and other police chiefs in major cities have expressed concerns about the election. What are your biggest areas of concern on this day?
Yeah, certainly. And we have a great network, particularly across through major city chiefs and some of the other national organizations that we've created, chats that we can sit and share information and share data. And that's been working really well. And as I've said before, my biggest concern is not necessarily today and the votings that's taking place today, but what's going to happen after this. Are people going to be anxious about getting the results if they don't come right away? Or are they going to be upset over what those results are that leads to any unrest? But, all we can do, there's not a lot of intel that says that anything's going to happen, but all we can do is prepare for the worst, and let's hope for the best.
And so how are you preparing for the worst and hoping for the best? What is it that you're doing on this day to try and make people feel safe about voting and then in the days to come?
Yeah, well, the main thing is just anticipation with staffing. We had to make sure that our staffing levels are up to par to where if we did have to deploy for any unrest, that we're still going to be able to answer those calls for service and still serve our community despite anything that might arise. We've also looked at the possibility of our officers not being able to go home on time if something does happen, that they know that they could have extended hours, and then the resources from other units that would also come in to assist. If you're assigned to one particular unit, you may need to assist with anything that comes up that we have to deploy resources to. So everybody's in the right mindset. Everybody's ready. If something does, again, we're going to pray that it goes smoothly. But at the same time, we're going to ensure that we do what we can to keep our community safe, too.
Given that you work in a swing state, there's been so much focus on the swing states. Is that where some of the fear of potential unrest comes from?
It certainly is. We've had our share of dignitary visits over the past several months. Our people have really responded and worked really hard to keep all the candidates safe when they come into our jurisdiction. And I know it's a day that we're glad to see finally get here, but at the same time, the attention that is focused in North Carolina and our jurisdiction being the largest in North Carolina does have a heightened awareness for us, and to make sure that we are ready and everything is in place. And just, again, we just want to make sure that the elections go smoothly. And then after the elections, the days to come after this, that there's nothing unexpected that comes up that we're not prepared for.
And Chief, what's your message to voters? What's your message to people who may want to kind of stir things up
just respect each other. I mean, we're in a very divisive state in our country right now, and that's unfortunate. But I think if everybody just shows respect for the other side, regardless if you have differences of opinions or the same opinions, I think that we need to really start looking at respect for the other side. And if we can do that and move forward and get along, I think that'll just make our country even better.
Chief of Police, Johnny Jennings, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.